Hello everyone and welcome to Coming to TV. I'm Steve Hawk.
JENNO's hosting today?
No, he's not. Joined by Chris Pajak, joined by Tom Jennings. JENNO's never hosting. He doesn't want to.
Okay.
No.
Why?
We had this conversation in the past.
Oh.
He likes talking too much to host.
Okay, fair enough.
He's got all the
Surprised
answers.
you want to host?
He's got all the answers. I do talk a lot. Anyway, let's move on. So the topic this week, I was about to get into it until I was insulted, is who is going to be, Chris, the next team to win a Super Bowl for the first time? So basically, over the course of the last 51 years, 51 Super Bowls now, we had 51 winners obviously, and there hasn't been 51 different winners, we all know. That's been, bloody hell, the Patriots have won like 6 of the last, whatever, God do me head in already. So there are 13 teams, I think I'm right in saying, who've never won a Super Bowl. I'm just going to read them out quickly. Arizona Cardinals, Falcons, Bills, Bengals, Browns, Panthers, Lions, Jags, Texans, Chargers, Vikings, Eagles and Titans. So they're all the teams who have never won a Super Bowl. Obviously teams have moved and franchises have changed, but as we stand, they're the ones who have never done it. So if I had to say to you, which of those do you think will be the next one to win one? Just your initial thoughts, or maybe a couple of those names that you might think.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. I think who I'm going to pick. I think I'm going to pick the Atlanta Falcons because I think they've got a really good chance this year. Okay. Obviously they need to go one step further than last year, which could be difficult. And the Carolina Panthers, really. I think I like Ron Rivera as a coach. I like the way that he organises a game. That he's willing to take risks. And I think sometimes you've seen over the years with Belichick at the Patriots that sometimes you have to be able to go and take a risk and stuff like that. And I think that what they've added this off season as well puts them in a good stead for this season. I think they've got the quarterback. I think that's ultimately you can't do it without the quarterback, and he's of an age where he could play for the next 10 plus years. Maybe he'd have to change his game a little bit down the line and become a bit more of a pocket passer and stuff to make sure that he doesn't get injuries and stuff. But same with the Falcons, isn't it? They've got the quarterback, they've got the pieces on the offensive side of the ball to go and win games of football, and that's half the battle, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, the last 2 Super Bowl runners up there, JENNO, so it's not, you can see the qualities those 2 teams have. I imagine those 2 are the most obvious choices. Is there any others you think, maybe not this year, say for example, the Patriots or the Packers win it this year, or whoever, Steelers, is there anyone you can think maybe a little bit further down the line who you've got an eye on as a potential target, potential candidate?
I think we've mentioned a few times, I think the Texans have got a small window in the next 2-3 years of where they need better quarterback play and they can win a Super Bowl. Because we know the AFC is wide open, because after the Patriots, there is a dip. I mean, you still got the Steelers, but they keep having suspension and injury issues. We don't know what we're really going to get from Raiders. The Texans have the potential, they're usually the 4th best team. So if you're the 4th best team, that means that you've got a real good chance of winning the Super Bowl. Only takes them to beat the Patriots and suddenly they can get to the dance. And I just think they've got the most chance, but again, it's their limited quarterback play is the thing that's holding them back. But even when you look at their skill positions, they're all there. So if Tom Savage or Watson can give them just enough, they could have like a Joe Flacco Super Bowl run in 2012.
Yeah, I suppose they've at least got a plan for the quarterback. So Deshaun Watson's been brought in. He'll play there at some stage. He might not start. It might even not be this season, Chris, but it will be down the line. So that's a little bit of a bigger window, provided they can keep everyone healthy. They've now got the quarterback where you can see. So even if it doesn't happen this year, and year 2, year 3, we've seen quarterbacks get to the Super Bowl in year 3 before. He could take Houston, provided the defense stays as good as it is. You could maybe not this season, maybe it might be a bit too soon, but it wouldn't be a huge shot 2 or 3 years down the line.
No, absolutely. I think it was. Am I right in saying it was 2012 when Flacco won the Super Bowl with the Ravens and stuff? And as JENNO points out there, they just need 6 good games at the end of the year, and they could get there based on the back of that defense. And I don't see that defense getting any worse over the next few years. It might start to look, without quarterback play, it might start to get picked apart a little bit. I think so what I'm trying to say is, if they don't have a quarterback who can take them there, then players might start looking around and going, okay, my window's a little bit smaller now, and maybe I need to find somebody, so they'll just all end up at the Patriots.
Yeah, on minimum deals. But Arizona, I want to speak to you, Jen. I'll come to you about Arizona Cardinals. They have been to a couple of Super Bowls. They lost, obviously, I think the last one was against Pittsburgh a few years ago. They've been in title games not so long ago. Obviously, they beat the Packers along the way before Carolina beat those 2 seasons ago. Last year they had a down year, and you talk about Super Bowl windows. This is their Super Bowl window now, because it's probably Larry Fitzgerald's last year, it's probably Carson Palmer's last year, and there's a very good chance it's Bruce Arians last year as a coach as well. He's had health issues, there's lots of rumours going around about him. The main issue they've got, obviously, they're in the same division as the Seahawks, they're in a very difficult NFC, but Would you be shocked if we see Arizona in the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl in what less than 6 months' time?
I wouldn't have been 2 years ago, but now I'm looking at it and I think they've missed their window. This is why we talk about windows. I think Larry Fitzgerald's just going to have a good year, but it'll be slightly worse than last year. I think Carson Palmer has always been hit and miss, and his playoff performances have not been good enough. And then I don't think Bruce Arians, with his own health issues, is going to be willing to stay and rebuild, because they're going to need a new quarterback and a new wide receiver and a new coach, basically. So I don't think he's going to stay there. So I actually think they've missed their window now. I think their window was the 2015 season, where they looked electric. I mean, they still got a good defense, and so they still got some good pieces to work with, Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu. But I can't see them winning this year's Super Bowl, which I think is the thing that will close their window.
Be a shame, wouldn't it, for Larry Fitzgerald to retire, Chris, without that ring, because he's like, me and you being, obviously we're a little bit older than JENNO, he's been around for most of our watching career. We've just seen Anquan Boldin retire again from the same team, obviously a few years ago. It shows that we're getting a bit old, but it also, the absolute elite players, you want to see them get rewarded. I remember watching the Denver Super Bowl 2 years ago with you, and we were happy because Peyton Manning won because of who he was to us and what he meant. And Larry, I don't know about you, I don't know about Wade, but Larry Fitzgerald.
I love Larry Fitzgerald. But I always preferred Anquan Boldin, to be honest, because I think Anquan Boldin made himself better by the work that he did off the field. I think Larry Fitzgerald had a God-given talent, and I always prefer the people who work harder to win things, and I love the fact that Boldin went on and won a Super Bowl and stuff and was able to retire, but, that's not taking anything away from Larry Fitz. I mean, he was completely unplayable in that 08 playoff, and, it's one of them where I think I'm right in saying the Cardinals aren't in a big TV territory, so they never used to get shown very often, so whenever they were on, I always enjoyed watching them, which was few and far between back then as well, and I think with Carson Palmer, just for my 2 cents worth on him, I just don't think he can hack that, what is probably about a 20-game season for him. I just don't see him being there at the end of the season. Whereas Larry Fitz, you know what, if he didn't win a Super Bowl, right, I'd have just as much respect for him, because he's not gone and tried to do it somewhere else. He's tried to do it with the team that he loves, and that gives me a little bit more respect for him than maybe if he moved to another team and won a Super Bowl, because sometimes that's just a nice way to go out, isn't it?
Just go in there, I'll reverse it, get your ring and then go get your money and go back. It's one way of doing it. I'd probably do that, to be honest. I'd want one of those rings. Obviously, we're going to skip over Atlanta and Carolina. We've sung their great stuff. They're contenders right this second. We've seen over the last 2 years we think they could be. I want to get your thoughts, Chris, first, if you don't mind, on Los Angeles Chargers. Now, they have got the quarterback, again, aging quarterback, he's getting old. They've got a very scary defence, decent offence, but once again, the injury bug's biting. Again, you're talking Super Bowl windows and teams and stuff. The defence should be around for a while with, the likes of Bosa and Merciless. They're going to be there for a while, but Phil Rivers is coming towards the end. If not, he's in the Eli, Big Ben, Phil Rivers, that draft class. They're all coming to the end of their careers now, and he's the only one of those three not to get there and win one of those rings. Again, do you think that his ship sailed? Do you think that boat's passed him? Because
No, quite honestly, I still rate him as a quarterback.
Of course. I mean, as a that team in general, not just.
I think their problems stem more from the fact that how they're training and where they're training and all the behind the scenes stuff. Because I think they've still got issues with travelling and where they're supposed to be training and all that type of stuff, don't they? So I think it'll be difficult for them because they've got like the logistics of being that team now. So I think they'll struggle from that regard. But Phil Rivers can do it certainly. He needs to have one of those runs, and he's been a great quarterback for a long time, and he seems to me like he's one of those fellas who's got the drive and who's got the determination and will fight tooth and nail for it. So I do think that he could do it, but will he? No. It's
again, the issue they've got, JENNO, is that division's just. I mean, you could see any of those 4 teams coming first. You could see any of those 4 teams coming fourth. And like I say, who knows? They might draft the next big thing, and the next big quarterback ends up as a Charger. But as it stands, there's probably maybe 2-3 years left for them to do it. I think I wouldn't be shocked if, for example, if the Chargers win the AFC West this year. But then I don't know. I equally wouldn't be shocked if they came fourth. That's where I'm kind of at with them.
See, this was in our prediction show of worst to first, and I said the Chargers I thought had the most potential because they've got that good defense, they've got an offense. But we've got to look at is Philip Rivers at the start of the last few seasons has looked like an MVP, and he's ended the seasons poorly. Now, is that age catching up with him, and his body's breaking down midway through the season? It's like an underrated storyline, like no one's talking about it, but they should be, because they should analyse how He's playing well up until about week 9 or 10, and he's dropping off a cliff. And that's also holding the Chargers back. With all as well, it could possibly be because of all the injuries that he's having on the offensive line and wide receivers as well, so he's got no tools, and that's why his game's dropping as well. So there's so many issues, and it all revolves around injuries and possibly Philip Rivers getting old. So again, like, they've got this potential where they could have a mad run this season potentially and win the whole thing. But if they don't, I think they're going to have to then rebuild, because I'm not sure how long Philip Rivers has left.
Yeah, it's fair enough. And a few of the teams, one of the teams on this list, and Chris, is your team. It's the Vikings. Again, we spoke about the Vikings last week, so we won't go too much into it. But how long, realistically, do you think the Vikings are a Super Bowl contender now? Genuinely, do you think they're a Super Bowl contender now?
No.
How far away do you think they are?
Bloody hell, mate.
What's holding them back right now, do you think?
They've got questions over the quarterback first and foremost, don't they? You don't know what Teddy Bridgewater is going to come back. Is it going to be the Teddy, if he comes back, yeah, I suppose. But, man, it's going to be such a struggle for them because there's just so many pieces missing at the moment. You know, the fact is, last season we basically didn't have an offense that could win games of football, you know. And, yeah, we did well at the start of the season, but we tailed off massively. I think we're still a while away. I think we're always a mile away, mate. It's depressing to talk about it. I think you can tell by the tone of my voice, but realistically, you know, probably 2 years to get the offensive pieces in play and get the offense running how I'd like it to be running, and then you're just basically holding on to a defense. And how long will that defense stay with the offense? How long will they trust that we're going to turn it around on offense for them? Again, it comes back to it. These guys are going to want to win Super Bowls, and right now it doesn't look like the Vikings is the place to do it.
And in the free agency era, and it goes for all these teams, these windows are like 4 or 5 years, because you develop your players, you can't keep them all if they're all good, which is what Houston might end up in, a situation where they can't keep Watt, Clowney, you know, Merciless, all of those on, sorry. I think I said Merciless before for the Chargers, and I didn't mean Merciless, did I? I think I might have go back and rewind and tell me I'm an idiot for that. But anyway, I think I might.
They've already told you.
I think I might say that Merciless plays the Chargers, but obviously he doesn't. But it was Ingram I was thinking of, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was Ingram, not it. Sorry Chargers, and sorry Houston fans. A couple of these teams then, Chris, are rebuilding straight in. You know, the Cleveland Browns, for example. We're not saying the Cleveland Browns are going to win the Super Bowl this year. We don't think that, but this this process that they're doing now, they've tanked, they've got the draft picks, and they're slowly starting to rebuild, and they've got a better team than they had last year. Do you think that process can work? So can you see in maybe 3-4 years time that Cleveland have gone from, you know, zero to the heroes? Because we've seen Carolina go from #1 pick to a Super Bowl, and not, you know, although they got battered when they got there, we have seen teams go from absolute rock bottom to contenders.
I don't think the Browns are going at it that way, such that they will go from #1 pick to a Super Bowl contender. I think they are building steadily for the future, and I think it's probably a much better way of doing it. Now, ultimately, they just need to improve for a few years. They need to get to a place where they can win as many as they lose in a season. Do you know what I mean? And then from there, that's the springboard that they need. Whereas I don't see it that we're ever going to see them go. Well, it's just not the way that they're building it.
How, JENNO, then how long do you think that process could take? In theory, if everything goes well, from absolute garbage, which they have been, to, you know, because the whole point. How
long has it taken so far?
This is year 2 of the actual of this new regime. They gutted it last year, and they gladly come, you know, last in the league. They wanted that. Now they've started, you know, they've used the draft picks, they brought a few free agents and they traded for the likes of Jamie Collins. So they are, and again, we're not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, but how long do you think that process can take?
Well,
or should it take?
Well, they've only got 5 years, because after 5 years, all these big picks that they want to pay, and they're all going to need paying at the same time. Exactly, so they're going to leave through free agency. So they need to stick to this for the next 5 years and stop doing what the Browns have always done, which is panic after a year, sack everyone, start again. And this is why they stay a bad franchise, because you can't do that. You need consistency. So they have only got 5 years, but even in those 5 years, I'm going to be honest, I don't see them do anything. I think we're going to see 5 years down the time and see them go 4-12 and then start again.
I think they might do a little bit better than that, to be honest. I think, you know, it's probably not a popular opinion in any way, shape or form, but I think, you know, these guys after 5 years that they're drafting now, how many of them can they keep? And then if you're, let's say, 8-8, you're a much better proposition for new players coming into the league. Obviously, you're not going to get the pick of the bunch anymore, but, you know, they can still stockpile draft picks into the future. So I would be maybe 7 years before they're in a position where they can challenge if everything goes to plan, but it's a really long-term project.
I suppose the one thing that can catapult that is the quarterback. So Carolina got Cam Newton, and that pushes everything along. You know, just it catapults them. Another team I want to talk about who got the second overall pick a couple of years ago is the Tennessee Titans, and they're the last team. Sorry, any other fans on this list. We're gonna end with the Titans. A lot of people fancy the Titans this year. Maybe not so much Super Bowl, but at least playoff contenders. They finished 9-7 last year. They have gotten stronger. What are your thoughts on Mariota and the Titans and their ability to, even if it's not this year, maybe next year after, I don't know.
Yeah, they could well do. I know Jenno's got some, you really like the Titans, don't you? So it's probably best that you talk about it, to be honest, because you're well in on them.
Well, see, I'm not well. I keep talking myself massively into them. I'm starting getting worried about how excited I am about the Titans. It's starting to worry. But I think if you told me you've got 5 years, which one of these teams is most likely, then I'd pick the Titans. Because I think they're only a couple of years away. They just keep getting better every season. They've got 2 good running backs. They've got a quarterback who can run but runs to throw. And they're starting to get those wide receivers they need. They've got the tight end, who I'm a big fan of. I don't think he gets anywhere near as much credit as he should. And the defense is getting better. They've also got the former Patriots guy is now their GM. So I just feel as if they might have a bad season, fire Malarkey ball, and then go and get Josh McDaniels, and then I'll put money on them to win a Super Bowl.
So if the question is, of those franchises, who would you put your money on to be the next one to win a Super Bowl? Who would you go with? No timescale?
Yeah, no timescale. I'm going to say the Titans, because I think the Texans' window closes too quick on them for the quarterback play.
I mean, the obvious one's Atlanta, because you'll do it this year. But if you're saying, take the next 2 years out of the equation, so from, say, 2020 onwards, I quite like Philadelphia. I'm all in on Carson Wentz for a start. I love the defense. I think the front seven they've got amazing, and it's only going to go and get better. I think they're going to be good this year. To be honest, that division is going to be really, really tough again. It's another one. I'm in on Carson Wentz. So I don't think they're ready in the next 2 years. But 3-4 years down the line, I would not be shocked at all to see Carson Wentz winning a Super Bowl. What about yourself?
Cardinals. Falcons, sorry.
That's straight away this year. Falcons, obviously. Yeah, absolutely this year.
Nah, crispy hopeful, say the Vikings. We know you want to.
It's not going to be, mate. There's no point in pissing in the wind. You know? It's not going to be the Vikings. At least I'm not a glory hunter, do you know what I mean?
We never won a Super Bowl when I started supporting them, mate.
So sorry, Bills, Bengals fans, we didn't really get.
So is he the glory hunter then?
Hang on, they were crap when I supported the Packers. Don't worry about that. They weren't great at all. Brett Favre was good, to be fair, but anyway. Bills, Bengals, Lions, Jags. We didn't really get to talk about any of those.
Well, can we just do a quick word on the Lions now?
Yeah, quick word.
Because the only thing I think about the Lions is, see, they've got the quarterback who could win a Super Bowl, but I just think their team is just a 10-6 team over and over again, and they lack that final 2-3 pieces. I don't think they're going to get that final 2-3 pieces anytime soon.
What can they do to change that, Jenno? What is it they have to do? Do they have to be smarter with the draft picks?
They have to draft better. They've drafted horrendously poor.
They need to get a game-changing defensive end, because I think we thought Ziggy Ansah was going to be one, and he hasn't quite. And then they need more running back as well. Give a solid running back to them, and he might be able to then do something I'd actually fancy.
They have tried this year. They tried to build the line and stuff. So, but yeah, the Lions. Again, I got a bit of stick last time. I'm never been scared of the Lions. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe not. The Bills are rebuilding again because they're being the Bills. They're doing Browns last year. They're trading everyone away. They're getting picks. So that's probably a far one.
Man, when I started watching American football, the Bills had just been beaten twice by the Cowboys, like in consecutive years. I think it was in the mid-90s, early 90s. Emmitt Smith, 22, was just like romping it at the time. Like, so I've always got a special place in my heart for the Bills.
They haven't even been back to playoffs. No man. You want to jinx. And then the Bengals, I feel they were close. They were very close, and I think we maybe overlooked them slightly. This year...
Well, I don't overlook their coach, and I blame their coach, and I will consistently blame their coach for why they're not contender for the Super Bowl.
I think Bengals are closer than that. I think they've got a chance, but again, it's Andy Dalton puts me off. I can never see Andy Dalton.
You always seem to go for him in fantasy. Pick him up in the 8th round.
Yeah, because he's a boss player to put in fantasy.
He's a good fantasy player, he's a good NFL player, but I don't know.
How's he done for you in fantasy?
Yeah, not so good. not so well, indeed. So yeah, and then the Jags. Listen, I think the Jags go to Super Bowl this year. They had a good quarterback, but they've got fucking Blake Bortles. So we'll put a pin in the Jags and let's see what comes back, because honestly, he's just absolute garbage. And until they figure that position out, which they haven't, the best quarterback they've had in like 2 decades. Well, since they were formed, it's probably David Garrard, and In the last, well, I say maybe in the last 10 years.
Leftwich maybe was he better?
Leftwich was poor.
Yeah, maybe the best they've had for a long time. And, you know, all the best with Chad Henney this year, James. You know, good luck with that one. So maybe down the line, because they're in win now mode. Just haven't got the quarterback figured on that. I wouldn't be surprised if they traded for someone in the next couple of weeks or got someone in, because that guy's absolute garbage. I do apologise, Jags fans, and I know we've got some Jags fans who watch this. And
I don't.
You're
totally fine with everything that Steve said.
No, I stand by it. I'm sorry that you've got to watch Blake Bortles for the next 16. No, Chad Henney, that's really bad.
And he replaced Blaine Gabbert just to stay.
Oh, that's hard, isn't it? Poor Jags. But yeah, I think the Jags could win a Super Bowl if they had the 15th best quarterback in the league. I think they could win a Super Bowl, but they haven't. They've got Blake Bortles. Go and trade for Alex Smith. That's what you should do.
Ooh, I like that one.
Go and trade for Alex Smith. He's fine. He's okay. It's fine. Anyway, that's it. So that was the show. That was this week's, obviously, the teams that we think maybe might win a Super Bowl for the first time over the next couple of years. Let us know in the comment section below.
Please be the Vikings.
All the best. Please let us know in the comment section below your team, what you think about your team, if we've discussed them, who the right answer is. We're all convinced it's probably the Falcons in the short term, and then we've obviously give long term. We'll be back next week in our next discussion show with our season prediction, because the season is getting ever closer. And then after that, we'll be starting to actually preview and recap games, which is what we want. We can't wait for that. So all you guys at home for watching, thanks so much. It's been great over the summer. Carry on watching. Please keep giving this video a thumbs up. So make sure you're subscribed if you're not, and tell your friends, because we want to grow this. By the time next summer comes, we want to be the biggest YouTube channel, NFL channel
in the world.
But more likely in the UK.
I'll take the north of England for the start. in this building for now. No, we want to grow and grow. So please continue to support. So very much appreciated. Let us say. Other than that, Chris, pleasure. Tom, pleasure as always. I've been Steve Hort. That's been Cover 2 TV.
And the longest outro ever is about to end.
I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.